And no matter how many great things they do, how many men they get to love them, how many healings they go through, how many things they learn, at the end of the day, they're still miserable people who don't feel good about themselves. Pay more bills, that there's no room for a man to even love her as a woman anymore.
Yeah.
And so basically these women run into male mode because their female mode is so damaged.
Yeah.
And no matter how many great things they do, how many men they get to love them, how many healings they go through, how many things they learn, at the end of the day, they're still miserable people who don't feel good about themselves.
Yeah.
So these kind of women have to learn to be female all over again.
Yeah.
And which means they have to learn how to spend at least an hour a day doing nothing. They have to learn to just sit with themselves in stillness and quiet and realize they don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
You know, that's a hard thing for them. These women rarely will stop. The minute they slow down, they fall asleep. You know?
Yeah.
Because they've been running around so much. So seriously, it sounds funny, but they'll run circles around the world sometimes, and the minute they stop, they just pass out.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. These kind of women need a man until they're tired. And the minute they're tired, they don't even want the man. They just want to go to bed.
Yeah, it's so true.
Because they're either way, they just want to run from those painful feelings. Run to a man, run to work, run to this, run to that.
Yeah.
And you see a lot of these kind of women in, you know, at the temples and the yoga practices and getting their initiation. Because they're hurting women, and so they feel they have to do something to be better.
I live in the yogi city.
Yeah, it's a scary thing. You know, I used to always say, hey, between one of these yoga girls and a dumb girl off the farm, I'll take a dumb girl off the farm any day. Because having a relationship with a person who's trying to compensate is really hard.
It is.
You can't have a healthy relationship. So these women have to stop trying to compensate for not feeling good.
Yeah.
And they have to just sit and do whatever it takes to work through all these feelings. What that means is, it doesn't mean they need to go do yoga. It doesn't even mean that, because they're doing. They need to do nothing and be accepted for that.
Totally agree. I practically call them the nun. The archetype, the nun. They have oral sex with food, or they do yoga stuff.
Yeah. So they need to just be okay with themselves for no reason.
Yeah.
And until they come to terms with them, that means a lot of scary emotional processing, which means they also need people in their lives who are gonna who are gonna like them and validate them, even though they've got 101 issues.
Yeah.
So their environment is really important. They have to meet and connect with people who are going to love and cherish them and not take advantage of them.
Yeah.
They need the guy who cares about them, who's not going to have sex with them because they're not ready, no matter how much she begs for it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You know, seriously, because these women, the minute they have sex, often is when their relationships get the worst.
Yeah.
Okay? Because that puts them in a feeling state that they're going to want to run from. And then all their issues get multiplied.
Yeah.
So they have to take the time to heal their psychological wounds, but not by doing things, not by accessing their male side and being superb girl.
Yeah.
Okay? And that's really, really hard to do.
It is.
And one of the reasons it's hard to do is because, honestly, there's a lot of fate with these women, meaning that until those right situations come to give that healing environment for her,
yeah,
it's like the whole world is against them.
Yeah.
The average guy is going to take advantage of her because he doesn't know where he's going in his life, and he wants to have sex and love, so he'll shag her.
Yeah.
And then she'll get crazy on him, and he'll go, "You're crazy, girl, and leave."
Yeah.
You know? And the whole world is telling her to go make something of herself, basically telling her to go be a man and be successful. Because
Yeah.
it's her male side that goes out and be successful.
Yeah.
It's a great thing for women to access their male sides and be successful, but it doesn't work so well for women if they haven't balanced their female side.
Yeah.
Because then they're basically running from their female side. But a woman who is who's healthy with her feminine feeling side, who's doing great things with their male side, well, that's the happiest woman you're going to meet, you know? And so she needs to learn to do nothing, be okay with that, but the world doesn't support any of that.
No, it doesn't.
So how can she feel good about that, you know? So until sometimes it just takes faith to set that girl up for that right situation before any healing can really take place.
Yeah.
You know, she might just need the older guy who decides to take care of her.
Yeah.
But who's not trying to make her her possession.
Yeah.
I've seen a few cases of this. I had a friend she was a real hellcat in her relationships. You know, she had the typical Rahu in the 4th house, Saturn opposite the moon. Those are things that show a woman who's been scarred, who's been abused.
Yeah.
This person was abused. She fell deeply in love with someone at 14.
Yeah.
She had sex with the guy. He was an older guy.
Yeah.
You know, he was on his way on a trip. Dropped by, spent a weekend there. He was a friend of her brother's.
Yeah.
They fell in love, spent a lot of time together, had quick sex. He gets in his car, drives away, and dies.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, holy shit, right?
Holy shit.
So we got this girl who's been heavily traumatized, right?
Yeah.
Who goes on and has a series of devaluing relationships, abortions with loser men, the whole 9 yards, right?
Wow, yeah.
She finds a guy who's a good guy. She sabotages it, sleeps with his best friend. When he tells her the only reason we're not married is because of this, she just doesn't even acknowledge what he says, you know. The harder he tries, the more she runs. And then one day, she meets a guy who's got it all together, who's got his work together, who's not an extreme kind of person.
Yeah.
Just a kind of balanced, normal guy who just takes a liking to her.
Yeah.
He's a few years older, but not excessively older, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, he invites her into her life. They develop a great friendship. They get married.
Yeah.
There was never any pressure on her. He wasn't the kind of person that was so busy like her previous boyfriend, who was a good guy, but he was so busy with his work that he couldn't really devote the time that she needed to feel secure.
Yeah.
That she was really insecure, you know?
Yeah.
But this other guy could. So like fate just gave her this lifestyle and this guy who let it come together
Yeah.
for her. And she healed and she's living a great life now. And she's been steadily married and happy. And, you know, it's like, wow. And a lot of people would have never expected it. This was the kind of girl that caused trouble wherever she went. But then fate just gave her the things she needed to heal.
Yeah.
So sadly, sometimes those women are sort of fate dependent. So I say take fate into your own hands. Make the effort to be in places where there's no pressure.
Yeah.
You know? And where are those places? Well, those can be places where you do free service. Those can be a psychologist's office.
Yeah.
Those can be finding some good girlfriends that you don't expect anything from.
Yeah.
You know, go find those places.
Yeah.
Those can be old people who are 90 years old, you know, who are just happy to meet a new person that they can tell World War II stories over, right? Or whatever. So, but just find environments that don't put pressure on her to be something that she's not. And then the process kind of just happens naturally. And very, very importantly, the most important thing and the hardest thing for these kind of women to do is to be willing to suffer their painful feelings until they take them somewhere where they need to go. Because inside every person is a beautiful feeling.
Yeah.
But between our conscious feeling mind and that beautiful feeling can be boatloads of shit.
Yeah.
You know, dark waters filled with monsters and dragons and things that bite and creepy things you don't even know what they are. And honestly, you have to be willing to sink all the way to the bottom to find the gold. That's at the bottom of that dark ocean. And every addiction, every man you need, every bite of food you need, you know, everything you need, you know, or you're going to die, those deep needs that keeps you from sinking through all that pain to the bottom of the ocean are taking you away from your own best treasure.
Yeah.
And so people need to realize there's nothing wrong with embracing that darkness and working your way through it and taking the years that it might take of just being a sad person.
Yeah.
And let everyone see you cry being a sad person, you know?
Yeah.
Life is sad. Why lie and say it's not?
Yeah.
And life is sadder for some people than others, but we can't run from that. We have to sink underneath it and embrace it all as part of the reality of our lives until we tap into that happiness that's underneath all that.
Yeah.
But we can't run from it. And a woman has to put herself in whatever environment and be with the right people to help her work through all that in a healthy way, rather than going into a state of denial and being needy. Because that's usually what happens with these kind of women. They're needy, and they're in a state of denial, and they're constantly lying to themselves about how they feel, and therefore lying to their guy about how they feel.
Yeah.
And a woman, to have a good relationship, has to know how she's feeling and show that first true feeling to her guy.
Yeah.
It's only then that her guy can take care of her right.
Yeah. True.
Because the guy wants to take care of a woman. A good guy wants to take care of the girl in the way that makes her feel best.
It's true.
So if she shows him what she's really feeling, her first feeling, then he can do that.
Yeah.
But if she doesn't show her first feeling, she shows her second or third feeling, which are usually anger or frustration or indifference, then he can't take care of her the right way. He only could do the wrong thing at that point, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Because she's telling him, I feel this way, and so he's trying to help her on the level of that feeling that is not even the first feeling.
Yes.
So they have to learn to be in touch with their feelings and trust their feelings and share those first feelings, which are usually feelings of vulnerability and pain that can bring out the best in people that care about her.
Yeah.
The problem is, her moon is programmed to believe nobody's going to take care of her, and if she shows her first feelings, she's just going to get kicked in the face for it.
Yeah.
So she has to be brave enough to show that first feeling, even though it feels like she's going to get kicked in the face, until she meets the guy that doesn't kick her in the face for that first feeling, who respects that first feeling, takes care of that first feeling.
Yeah.
And then she has to be brave enough to stay there, because the minute that happens, she'll want to run as far away as she can. You know, and I've seen women with these issues who are super achievers. One woman, you know, who was abused, and then her father committed suicide, and her father was also the one who abused her.
Yeah.
You know, who graduates from high school at 12, has her master's at 16.
Yeah.
And in her 20s, runs away from the altar right before she's about to marry a billionaire who could have made her life so easy.
Oh my God. Yeah.
You know, at that last minute, she freaked and ran away from the altar.
Yeah.
You know, the idea of a wonderful life is just too much to handle if you're really, really scarred, you know?
Yeah.
So it's a hard job these women have to do it. Fate has a lot to say for it, the fate of their environment, the people that get stuck in front of them. So they need to try to, you know, grab fate by the horns and understand the importance of the right environments and the right people, and be strong in getting those, and not letting their needs pull them into those negative relationships and negative environments that are going to just be disappointing to them again.
Yeah. It's true. It's very true, what you're saying.
And of course, you know, while we've got all three of these alpha women, the problem we have, all alpha women have a problem, you know, and the problem is they're all being too masculine at the end of the day for a guy to have a relationship with.
Yeah.
But really, the problem they're having, there's only one problem all these women have. It's the same problem, and that problem is loser men.
Yeah. Peter Pan.
You know? Yeah. Well, not even only Peter Pan, but egomaniac men.
Oh yeah.
Men who can't stand a woman who says no.
Those are machos.
You know, too many machos, because they don't have any self-esteem.
Yeah.
A healthy man, when a woman says, actually, this is a better way to do it, goes, oh, I'm so glad you're here to help me do a better job.
Yeah.
You know? But a lot of men can't say that.
No,
they just say, they can't hear that. They just say, shut your mouth, bitch.
Yeah.
You know, men say that to women, who have something to offer them to make the man's life better. But and there's really not those men aren't as dominant as they used to be.
Yeah.
Unless you live in like Kansas or Missouri, you know. Well, not even Kansas. If you live in Missouri, you'll get a lot of those men, or Alabama, still a lot of them. But seriously, there's a lot less of those men out there than there used to be.
Yeah.
The main type of men that women are dealing with these days that are causing problems in their lives are simply men who don't know where they're going in their lives. And so men who just are not going to be able to be good men for women.
Yeah.
And a lot of these men are good-hearted men.
Yeah, they are.
And a lot of these men are sensitive men.
Yeah.
But that's not going to help them have a good life and a good relationship. Men need to be sensitive in the context of the environment and women. See, men have a moon too, which means they have a female sensitive caring side.
Yeah.
But that side needs to be directed towards women and nature and children and other people. If it's directed towards themselves, they're the worst men to be with.
Yeah.
The important side on a man is his male side, which is his giving side, his do the right side, his do his noble side.
Yeah.
And he needs to do that while using his moon, his sensitive side, of caring about everything else around him. And honestly, not caring as much about himself as all those other things.
Yeah.
The minute he starts caring more about his own feelings than the feeling of his woman, the feeling of his children, the feeling of the environment, the minute he does that, he becomes the kind of man that only is going to end up taking advantage of people, whether he intends to or not.
Yeah.
Okay? And so men need to put women's feelings before their own.
Yeah.
And a man who can't do that isn't a man worth having a relationship with.
Yeah.
And some men, while they're sensitive, that sensitivity means they're too concerned about their own feelings. And as a result, not concerned enough about the feelings of other people around them, especially their women.
Yeah.
Okay? Those are not good men to have a relationship with.
Yeah.
If a man doesn't sacrifice his feelings for other people's, especially women and children, then he's not suitable for dating.
Yeah.
Okay? He's just not. And then he has to know where he's going.
Yeah.
Because if he doesn't know where he's going, he has no stability. And women need a stable factor. If a woman's going to heal, she needs a stable man.
Yeah.
You know, if a woman is, whatever kind of woman she is, whatever kind of alpha woman she is, she still needs a stable guy.
Yeah.
Or else her world is eventually going to fall apart. Because she's going to bond to that guy when she has sex more than he's going to bond to her.
Yeah.
So if he's not stable, she's going to bond to something unstable.
Yeah.
And that's not right. You know, that doesn't work, right? You can imagine what happens when you bond to something unstable, and all of a sudden your life gets whipped out of control.
Yeah.
And then life becomes an insecure, scary thing. And at that point, what women do, they start digging their claws into the guy. Or controlling him, or telling him how things have to be, right? They turn into a mean alpha babe.
Oh, yeah.
But they've got no choice because the man's not doing it. And the minute they got involved with the man who wasn't doing it, they set themselves up for having to be the ones to do it.
Yeah.
But when they become that thing, the guy goes, I really love her, but you know, there's no way I can live with a woman like that.
Yeah.
You know, and they can't. But it's their own fault for turning the woman into that thing. And that's one of the saddest things about relationships to me, is because people have sex too early.
Yeah.
The woman's needs get opened up to that man before they're in a stable commitment.
Yeah.
And that makes her act worse than she is.
It's true.
And then the guy's thinking, geez, I really love her, but gosh, she's kind of crazy. I can't be with a girl that crazy. Well, she's not that crazy. It's just you didn't set the foundation, and then you dropped her You didn't set the foundation, and then you made her crazy.
Yeah.
And so now you're never going to know how good of a girl she really is. You're seeing her because you stuck your little wiener in her before you set a good foundation of commitment. You're seeing her worst side, and now you need to decide if you're going to keep her based on her worst side, instead of her best side. And when you see the worst side of someone, you're probably going to not want to keep them, right?
No.
And so this is one of the reasons so many people have 2-year relationships, several of them, before they finally have a relationship that lasts.
Yeah. And it's a 3-year benchmark, right? 2.5 years for Saturn.
Yeah, it's like 2.5 years. You could just, they break up after 2 years. It's a common time.
Yeah.
And that's after 1.5 years of hell.
Yeah.
Because after 6 months, that's when things shift.
Yeah.
It's like there's a 6-month time of the perfect time where we see the people at their best because we're full of love hormone.
Oh, yeah.
But after that first 6 months, it shifts into the reality. And the reality is so often a woman bonded to a guy and not feeling secure because there's no foundation, there's no commitment, and therefore a woman who starts going a little crazy, and a man who's not delivering and who feels threatened by the woman now, so his desire to deliver is less than it was in the beginning.
Yeah.
So a woman has to keep up. See, when a man first meets a woman, he's totally pumped up about her. And all he can do is think about how he's going to get her.
Yeah.
All he can think about is having that girl, you know? But the minute he has her sexually, well, now he has her, and he'll have her. And how he has her in other ways, if it takes 1 month or 20 years, doesn't make that much difference to him.
Yeah.
Okay. But to the woman, all of a sudden, it matters more.
Yeah.
She needs that commitment and the ring and the house more than she needed it before.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, after he's blown all of his testosterone and sex, his brain's not thinking all day long about how he's going to have her with him all the time.
Yeah.
He starts thinking about going fishing again, and he starts thinking about what he wants to do in his work maybe, and he starts thinking about this and that, and maybe even starts thinking about other women.
Yeah.
And she needs all the commitment stronger than before, even if she denies it. Even if she says, oh, I don't need a commitment. No, biologically, hormonally, she needs a commitment.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. And so the guy, and then she starts acting out because she's not getting those needs met.
Yeah.
And she doesn't act out consciously. She acts out of feeling, these unhappy, disturbed feelings that know something's wrong.
Yeah.
And he feels threatened by that and gets scared and goes, I don't want to live with a girl like that the rest of my life. Yeah. And after 1.5 years of battling around, it's all over and they break up.
Yeah. And
eventually what happens is women end up having sex with so many guys that they kind of become desensitized to what sex is meant to do.
Yeah.
And then even though they had sex with the guy, they don't lose themselves and go crazy the way they're supposed to.
Yeah, true.
But they're never supposed to be in that situation. They kind of become a little desensitized to that because really women tend to bond stronger sexually to the early relationships than the latter relationships.
Yeah.
And so they end up planning their relationship. Yeah, this is a good guy. He delivers. He's going to be a good guy to have kids. He's going to be a good guy to have this. But wouldn't it be better if he was all those things and she knew it, but she was also just totally lost in love and bonded to him?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be nicer to have both forms of love? Yeah. It would be.
It would.
But so many women, by the time they get to the right guy, have bonded to so many guys, they're not going to bond as deep to that right guy as they would have. A lot of it's a decision factor.
Yeah.
It's a lot too much. More of it is a mental process.
Yeah.
So what we need to use the mental process in the beginning. Does this guy deserve my pussy?
Yeah.
All right. The kind of guy he deserves it, but has he paid with it? Has he paid in advance for it with some kind of commitment?
Yeah.
And that's what young women really need to do. Another really sad thing that happens when people have sex too early, and by too early I mean when they're teenagers especially, is that everyone has a beautiful possibility of life in front of them. Everyone has a chance for a beautiful experience of themselves in life, to be something beautiful. That's wonderful to be. And that is a level of creativity that will bring joy to them. And it's a level of creativity that can bring joy to them the rest of their lives. And having that creativity, because we're all here to co-create the world with God. It doesn't mean the most beautiful thing we're going to do is going to be our job. But there's something there for everybody. And that beautiful thing is the thing that gets us through the hard times.
It is.
It's the thing that keeps us from killing ourselves when everything goes to hell in our love lives, you know?
Yeah.
It's the thing that helps us get out of bed when the whole world sucks.
Yeah.
And it's the thing that keeps us from being overly needy in our relationships. And if we're overly needy in our relationships only got one direction to go, and that's down, right? So we have to, people, both men and women, need to find that thing before they have a relationship.
Yeah, it's true.
Because that's what's going to sustain them through the tough times. But when people start having sex early, 13, 14, 15, wow, the most amazing thing is a good lay. The most exciting thing on life is a good lay. There's nothing as exciting as a good lay. And I find these people, oftentimes the only thing they seek in life are thrills. But this creative joy that is part of them, they never find it. Now, what could happen to men who fall into that is that they're just going to think the best thing in life is having sex with women. There's just really nothing better than that. And even when they have a great girl, they're still going to have sex with every girl that's remotely attractive on the side that they can, because sex is the best experience that life has taught them, that the best experience is sex. So that's not true. Each of us has a creative capacity for something that's better than sex, or at least as good. I remember years ago when I was in a rough relationship that was on and off. So I'd have periods of weeks where I was single, and then 2 weeks of being with a girl, with the same girl. A few weeks of being single. Well, I would just curl up with one of my astrology books that night, one of my Sanskrit astrology books. And honestly, it was just as loving and fulfilling as curling up with a woman. You know? It was like, you know, this is as good as curling up with her. I'll just wait till she gets done with her little sabotage acts and shows up again, you know? It got me through, because all of us have something that we can love as much and explore as much as a loved person. But if we explore a person and we explore sex first, and we don't find that thing before we have sex, then sex is the best thing that life offers. And those men are always going to choose sex over anything, including a commitment or a promise. So that's another reason why guys need to know where their life is going, need to know what they can create in this world, hopefully before they have sex, and definitely before they have sex with the woman I'm talking to right now, okay? Now, now what happens to women who have sex before they know what they're here for as an individual? They've only got one option after that, and that's to sort of be bonded to a man and lose who they are in preference of who the man is. Because that's what happens to women. Women bond to men in a way that they lose their individuality to some degree. Men don't bond sexually in a way that they lose their individuality. Men bond to women when they invest their time, energy, and money on them. So women need to make sure the man's doing more than 50% of that. Otherwise, he's not bonding to her. Otherwise, he's getting a free ride. Okay? So women bond sexually, and they lose, especially when they're young, they lose some of their individuality, which means they lose their capacity to find their own unique creative beauty. And then at that point, they've got no choice. If a woman hasn't found and tapped into that creative beauty of her own individual creative beauty of co-creating this life with God, before she starts bonding to men, she's not going to find it until she's in her 40s usually.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
You know, even if she gets married and has a great marriage, there's still a big part of herself that is going to be feeling unfulfilled.
Yeah.
It's an individual part of herself because too much of her has bonded into the man. Too much of her, every thought she has is what is dependent on what that man's thinking.
Yeah.
And then too much of her becomes a shadow. And she doesn't have the shadow of the man. It might be a beautiful shadow of the man if he's a great guy, but still there's something about her that she's not accessing. And women are going to be happier, and they're going to have a better relationship if they access that part before their 40s.
Yeah,
you know,
it's true.
they shouldn't have to spend 20-some years of their life without expressing that beautiful part of themselves. But lots of women do. And once they start having sex early, again, because sex is so exciting, they may never find or may never even look for that really exciting thing that they can do all for themselves, that no one else can duplicate. And so we need to find these things in ourselves, because at that point we're capable of having the best relationships, which is, again, an 11 relationship. Two individuals creating their lives out of the passion that is deep within them, that can't stop once they find it. Instead of selling that passion out to love and sexuality and therefore having needy relationships, they're holding on to that. They're individuals expressing that. And then they're sharing that and sharing their lives together. And so they respect each other and they cherish each other. And that's the best kind of relationship. Well, since it's the best kind, you're not going to see it very often. You know? Because life is hard. And it's a struggle to have anything that's really wonderful here.
Yeah.
But really, what other choice do we have to struggle in that direction?
Yeah.
You know, so woman, whatever kind of alpha you are, you know, find that 11 partner, which means be strong in yourself. Realize you have intrinsic value, but also realize you have an individual creative value too.
Yeah.
That's unique to you. And find both parts of that value. And then you'll be able to attract a man who's going to respect both parts of you, which means a man that's going to respect all of you.
Yeah.
And then you have a full relationship, rather than a relationship of the man who loves and cherishes you, but has no reason to respect you.
It's true. It's true.
You know, or a man who respects you, but who doesn't have any opportunity to love and cherish you because you're so busy or so much in a compensative mode that there's no room for him to love and cherish you.
Yeah.
You know? We want to be loved, cherished, and respected.
I know.
On our partner, right? We want it all.
I know, we want it all.
We want it all. And so it's only by playing the game right that we will have it all. But the bottom line of playing that game right is the willingness. It's okay to be alone.
Yeah.
Out of being alone, it gives me the chance to become emotionally healthier, and it gives me the chance to find my unique, creative, joyful experience.
Yeah.
And if I have those two things, I can have I'll attract the relationship that loves and cherishes me and respects me.
Yeah. Yeah. This is so helpful what you're saying, because everything what you're saying is aligned exactly with the type of work I'm doing as a
Totally.
And I totally appreciate you giving this information, but I definitely want you to tell me more about your website, how they can find you, your reports, all that. Go for it.
Okay, that's why I mostly teach. So I recommend people who really want to make a big dent and understand their lives and make it better on all levels to study these occult sciences.
Yeah.
So I've got astrology-videos.com for learning astrology. I've got cardsoftruth.com for understanding and studying cards.
For spending the time with my audience, and definitely I'm going to be putting the links below for your information, as well some of your computer reports as well that you have.
Yeah, thank you. And the reports, one thing I should mention, we have as computerized reports a capacity, for male report and a chastity for women. So this lets us see sort of how, with this you can see how damaged a woman's side is and what she needs to do to be strong, and how damaged the man's side is, meaning, is this man one of those loser guys that you want to run from, or is this a man who you can learn to count on and depend on? So I really recommend women check their man's capacity to be really a good man in their lives through those reports. So all those reports are completely in line with these things we've talked about today.
So I will definitely leave the links below, and then we'll go from there. I want to thank you so much for your time. It's such an honor to meet you and chatting with you, and explaining your study as well. And I hope to connect at a different time and maybe invite you back on my channel again.
Sure. Well, thank you. I enjoyed talking with you.
Guys, that's such a great interview. Go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel, like and comment.